Hi, I'm Robin Walker with VSP Walker, and welcome to another VSP video blog. The last couple of weeks we talked about aligning the 7 organizational elements within your company to reach your profit potential. And I promised you this week, and actually for the next 2 weeks, we would talk about the icing on the cake, and that is reducing complexity. Let's start this week with just some examples to point out what I'm talking about with 3 companies that you know. Let's start with Southwest Airlines. If you've ever flown on Southwest Airlines, you know the feeling of feeling like cattle being herded onto a plane. You line up in your rows based on what type of ticket you have. You go onto the plane, you pick your own seat, it's not pre-assigned, and you get on the plane quickly and off you go. Southwest Airlines says that they know that they make money if the plane is in the air. If it's on the ground, they're not making any money. So what do they focus on? They focus on turnaround time. And they said our goal for turnaround time is going to be 15 to 30 minutes. How do they do that? First off, sorry about the squeaking there. First off, the gate attendant will help with luggage when she's done getting you guys all on the plane. The flight attendant will start cleaning the plane as soon as everybody's off. They are cross-trained. They are solely focused on getting the people off the plane, getting the people on the plane, back in the air. Because they have such a good focus of that, they average 14 to 16 hours a day that plane is in the air, where American and some of the other airlines average maybe 12 hours per day. That is up to a 25% improvement on the utilization they get out of their equipment. That is huge. But what else do they do very, very well? Did you know that Southwest Airlines only uses Boeing 737s? Why is that? All the other airlines, they'll use 12 to 14 different airplanes within their airplane fleet. The reason Southwest does that is because they said, why do I need to add that complexity? Because if I have that many different types of airplanes, I have to train that many different kinds of mechanics. I have to hold that many different sets of replacement parts. I have to have that many different training programs for pilots, because pilots specialize on a certain type of aircraft. That is a lot of complexity. Does our clients, are they willing to pay for that complexity? And they said, you know, I think the average traveler is more interested in getting from point A to point B safely than whether they're flying on a Boeing 737, 747, Airbus 330. They really just want to get from point A to point B. So that's what they focus on, and they do it very, very well. Why is it that Southwest is showing profits and other airlines are going bankrupt? Because they have nailed the concept of simplicity. Let's talk about another example, Dell Computers. Remember Dell? They'll get you what you want when you want it. It's all about whatever you want, consumer. We will customize a computer to have whatever kind of setup in it you need. Well, guess what the reality is behind the scenes? They're branded as this super customization shop. But the reality is, when they started doing that, 85% of their sales came from just a few models. So guess what they did? They said, oh, that's really cool, because we still have this great brand of being all things to configure it any way you want to. But the reality is, through very focused marketing, they now make, they originally made 80%. They now make 95% of their revenue is from those few models. That's huge. That really simplifies what they need to do in their business. The last example I want to tell you about is a German company, Aldi's. If you've ever been in an Aldi's grocery store, you probably have noticed the footprint of it, or the size of the retail store itself is smaller than a lot of grocery stores. But there's a reason for that. Aldi absolutely exemplifies the concept of simplicity. They have a policy that they will only stock 700 SKUs. Do you know that the average grocery store stocks between 15,000 and 40,000 SKUs? And of those 15 to 40,000 SKUs, 25% of them sell less than 1 unit per month. On the upper end, that's 10,000 products that only sell 1 unit a month, or less than a unit a month. It takes them 5 weeks to sell a product. That's a lot of stuff sitting around not moving. Aldi said, we're going to take the 700 products that consumers really want and that they use, the staples, if you will, and we're going to sell those products. Now, what else do they do, which is really interesting? They don't have a fancy display. If you are into the experience of shopping, Aldi's is probably not what you're going to choose. If you like things beautifully displayed, and you like people passing out samples, and you like someone to carry your groceries to your car, that's not the experience you're going to get at Aldi's. But you will get extremely good quality at very, very low cost. How do they do that? Let's take grabbing a cart. If you go to Aldi's, the only way you can get a cart is to have a quarter. You put the quarter in the slot, the cart unlocks. Most people in the 90s percentile take the cart back, get their quarter back when they leave the store. What does Aldi get out of that? They don't have to hire someone and pay someone to go collect all the carts out in the parking lot. The other thing is the employees at Aldi's, and if you've ever been in an Aldi store, rarely will you see more than 3 people working. There'll be cashiers sometimes, stock people sometimes, depends on what needs to happen. What always amazed me about Aldi's, if you've ever been there, you can have a line 8 people deep with tons of groceries, and those cashiers will whip you through that in no time flat. And I always thought, what is with these cashiers? How can they nail down the scanning of products so fast? So I said to one of them one day, how do you scan these things so fast? And they said, well, we have a secret. Let me show you their secret. This is an Aldi product. By the way, 90% of Aldi products are their own brand. Go to Aunt Maple, it's an Aldi product. So on our banana chocolate pancakes, and yes, I do eat these, you will notice that on the front side of it, there is no barcode. But on the top, on the back, on the side, on the other side, and on the bottom, there are barcodes on every side. So if I'm scanning this, it really doesn't matter how I pick it up and how I whip it across the scanner. It is going to see a barcode and it's going to recognize it. Contrast that if you've ever been in the self-checkout lane at Walmart. If you're like me, you pick up the box. Always the last place you look is where the barcode is, and then you scan it, you put it in. It takes forever. Aldi's can outscan other cashiers probably 5 to 1 on a speed. That's why they have time to whip everyone through, collect the money, and then go help stock. It's an incredible experience. If you've never been one, I highly recommend you go and just look at it and think they have reduced the complexity in their organization, and then think, how does this translate to all the other areas within their company? How does this help them? Incredible. So until next time, we will talk a little more about complexity and really get down to how do you reduce the complexity, how do you go about chunking out that complexity and getting to simplicity, to where the only complexity you have in your business is the complexity that the customers value. That's what we want to focus on. And I'm really excited to get to the end of this video series, because in the last video series particularly, I'm going to talk about profit velocity. And it's a concept that I get really excited about. The whole concept of complexity is huge, because I know, like every other manufacturer out there, that you are looking for ways to do more with less. And reducing complexity is your ticket to do that. Get more, make more money with less. So, until next time, please remember, velocity, make things happen faster. Simplicity, don't make business harder than it needs to be. And profitability, make more money. Thanks for joining me.